Okay, so we're just about at the end of our single double stitch pattern to create the base, and I've created a double knot here. Now I'm at a single, just to create a single sheepskin. And again, just to reiterate, behind for a sheepskin, and then down through the loop. And then knot and cinch at the end, like so. Now we know we're at where we started, because here is our first loop that we created. Now what we're going to do from here on out is we're just going to do single sheepskin knots for each stitch all the way around. The concept is we're going to be stitching in a spiral, okay, until we get the desired length or height of our bag. Alright, so we're going to finish this off, and so we basically created our base, and with the 2 and then 1 and then 2 and 1 from our original flower or petals. And then now we're going to continue on, and we're going to spiral all the way around with just a single sheepskin knot. So I'm just going to thread one through like this. Then I want the string or cordage to go over, and then I want to go up through this first stitch or loop, and then I want it at the very tip of the gauge here, and then I want to go behind the legs and then down through the loop. Like that. And then I want to go to the next one. Go up through this loop here or stitch, behind the legs, and then down through the loop. Then the next one, same thing, so on and so forth. Okay, behind the legs, and then down through the loop. So I'm just going to continue this all the way around my bag, or the start of my bag, and I just keep going, and then until I get my desired length or height of the bag. You can let these go. Go to the next one. Really kind of simple once you get to this point. The beginning part is what's difficult. You start off making a ring with loops, or what we call a flower or daisy, and that will down to this loop. So I'm going to continue this all the way around until we get the desired length. And when we run out of cordage on our shuttle, I will show you how to splice on extra cordage after loading your shuttle. Okay, so I've created a single sheepskin all the way around, and I'm about to run out of cordage on my shuttle. So this will be like the last stitch, and we'll load the shuttle and we'll add more. You can do this by hand. I just ran out on my shuttle here, and basically I just run this in around the 2 legs and then back down and create our knot. And then I could find my next stitch, okay, which is here. I want to run up, or excuse me, run down, create our loop, and then I want to go around and create our knot. Okay, so now I don't have enough length to work with, so I'm going to load up my shuttle, and then we're going to continue on working around. I'm going to show how to load this needle or shuttle, and there's many different types of designs. This one is approximately 6 inches long by 1 inch wide. The gauge is about 1 inch wide. They're both about the same length. About the needle itself is 6 inches long, and it will hold, the way I've made it here, it'll hold up to about 22 feet of cordage, give or take. So I think from this point on, where we're at with the start of our net bag here, to get the desired length, I would need, I think, 4 full needles to get to the length that I need. But we'll see. We'll count it out. But you just keep stitching until you have the length. So at any rate, this is how you load this type of needle. And there's many different types. And this one, you just kind of flip it over and loop around the tooth. Flip it over, loop around the tooth. So it's real easy. Flip around the tooth, fold, and flip around the tooth. So that's how you load this type of needle. Again, I have a video I'll link below on how to make a netting needle and gauge. It's not that difficult. It can be made out of many materials. This is wood, bone, antler, plastic, anything that you can shape. So this is about it. That's all it is. Okay, to add on to our net cordage where we have left off is real simple. You're just gonna find a place in your stitching to apply a knot. And in this instance, I'm gonna apply a knot just like so here, and just a regular old overhand knot will work. And sometimes you can wet it with some water to help cinch the fibers together real tightly. And then I'm going to take these 2 free ends here and just overhand knot them on top of each other. Again, I'm going to use a little water, in this case saliva, to kind of tie that off. We can cut this off later when the bag is finished, but I'm going to go ahead and cut these off now just so that the strings aren't confusing. And now we can continue our stitching by loading the net onto our gauge. And really, I'm just going to put the knots, a couple of knots, on top of my my needle here. There's one I flipped around. Okay, like so. So we've got this rethreaded on here, and then now we're going to continue on our knotting spree. And behind and down. And then go on to the next loop. And behind and down. So on and so forth. And you know, about 2 hours worth of work, you'll get the length that we need. And again, it depends on the length of your cord, how much cordage you can load onto a needle. The size of your needle will determine, you know, how fast or how long you'll be able to create a bag of whatever desired length or width you want. So about 2 hours. Just put on a movie or audiobook and just start netting away. And before you know it, you'll be done in no time, and probably have learned something by watching something else, multitasking. So moving right along here, and it's been about 20 minutes or so, and I think I've got maybe about with the mesh stretched out as I'm pulling on it for tension. I think I'm pushing probably about 16 to 20 inches from the time that I last stopped recording. And so this goes pretty quick. We're just making a fairly small size one. Even right now, this could be a small, very small net bag for some knick-knack or whatever. But we're going to keep going. So this is just so you can see the rhythm of what I'm, how I'm stitching or knotting this net. So once you get going, you just get going. Your muscle memory starts to kick in, and you just start to flow. The key is to not, grab the wrong loop or stitch. So just make sure you're being conscientious about which one you're grabbing. Cinching it to the top of the stick here, and then making your knot, going behind the legs and then down through the loop and pull it tight. Now this, in order to get this to go right, work this loop around the top of where they connect here, and slide it down and let it pop into place, and that'll be the proper knot. Otherwise you create a sliding noose. All will not be lost in that case, but if you're trying to make a bag or a net that's going to hold something, you want your meshes to be solid so that whatever you're trying to catch, it doesn't wiggle its way out of a loose or adjustable mesh in your netting. So just to keep in mind of how that net is being, the knot is being made, going behind here and then going down through the loop, and then I'm working it against the two legs and then popping it into place against the spine of the gauge. So that's pretty much how it's done. Just keep on flowing. So far here, this is how our net is coming along, our net bag. And like I said before, this could be a pretty small net bag. It does expand and stretch. Again, I'm using jute cordage, store-bought, so some cordage, different types of cordage may have different properties, may not give much stretch or bounce, but this really hard to measure the volume of what you could carry in here. But obviously, the bigger, the more you're going to be able to carry. But this could be even the start of a small one. It's not the full length that we want just yet, but we'll get there soon. Okay, I've tied a little rubber band here on the last rung the last stitch before I'm going to quit, and it's about the right length that I want. And I'm just going to go one more time around, and so I'm adding the rubber band to let me know when I've reached that point. So again, I'm just going to keep doing our stitch for the sheep's bend. Just one more time around, and then we're going to be able to cast off, or basically take this off, and we'll make a drawstring for this, and then get it wet, and then we'll put some weight in it and let it hang to dry, to stretch out all the fibers and the knots, to tighten the knots and things like that. Alright, so we're coming up on the last stitch for our net bag, and it only really took me, I would have to estimate, outside of explanation, probably about an hour and a half, 90 minutes to get this long. I'll measure the length, but I'm trying to go for 21, 22 inches long. and that's stretched out. So I'm at the rubber band point here, so I can just take this you know, it could be any old clip, a bead or paper clip, or just something to kind of see where you're at. So all I really need to do is just create this last stitch here. Oops, excuse me. This is the last stitch, and then one more stitch to finish off. So, and again, all we just did is just create stitches around and around and around in a spiral, and we are finishing off right now, and that will be all she wrote. And that's that. And then I'll go ahead and snip this off. Okay. And for this project, I, took an old hanger and I just kind of made a hook out of it. You could use whatever's handy, or you could tie this around the leg of a chair or something like that. And this is the end that we pulled to make our flower or our spokes or petals to create the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and I put a knot at the end of it so it wouldn't come undone. I don't think it'd come undone anyways. And then I'll just snip this off. But this is what we're using to provide the tension as we kind of net our bag. All right, so here it is. And yeah, this is a finished piece, and it's pretty, decent sized little tubular bag to put some stuff in. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shape this a little bit. It's ready to use right away, but I'm going to go ahead and shape it. I'm going to get this wet, and then I'm going to put a container in here, heavy container in here, and let it sit that way and let it dry, so that it'll shape the way we want it to shape. But for the most part, here it is. It's all finished, and then we just use a netting needle and our gauge to do so. There is a way to make a bag without using the netting needle. It's very similar to the scoop net or the hand net video that I have. I'll link below, but I will show that in case you don't have these tools, because you either have to purchase or make these tools. And if you just want a quick and dirty rustic bag and you got enough cordage, there's a way to do that, and I hope to do a video on that soon. Alright, we're going to make a handle for our net bag here, and I'm just going to thigh roll, so don't mind my leg here. I'm going to thigh roll 4 strands that are approximately my arm span and a half, so about, I would say, probably about 75 inches long or so. Alright, so anyways, we're going to do thigh rolling, which is reverse twisting. So on this end here, I'm just going to go ahead and put a knot, and I have a video on how to do this with nettle cordage, or nettle fibers rather. And I want to split these out two to two. And all this really is just reverse twisting it, but it's a more faster way to do it when you have a long length of cordage. Doing it by hand is a little bit more tighter, in my opinion. There's some people, I guess, who can thigh roll and get it pretty tight. This is kind of more of a quick and dirty method. If you have the time, then I would probably, myself, and maybe that's just my lack of skill, myself, I would just hand twist it just to make it nice and tight. Okay, so kind of use some water or wet your hand, and you want to pinch at the base here, and then push these 2 strands forward using the friction of your leg to put a nice tight twist in it, and then let this end twist, and you can kind of push the twist into it with the other hand. Then pull up, and then do the same thing, put a twist in it. So it's really fast, and that's why I like to use it for kind of real rough twisting, rough cordage twisting. So you're just going to thigh roll this just like so.